Hello, my name is Yves Bennaim. We're going to talk about lots of things today. I'll try to go as fast as possible so nobody gets bored, and also so we can go to Q&A and like maybe discussions as fast as possible. I'm not really sure when it's supposed to finish, but I counted 1 hour. But I'll try to not go too fast because I don't know who's at what level, and I guess everybody's there with a different perspective and background, so feel free to interrupt, but there will be Q&A at the end, obviously. I'll go through a few rules. I'll go through a few tools because there are lots of things online, and I'll go through a few tips, and then we can all share ideas and discussions and questions. I need to start with a foreword. Everything that I'm going to say today will probably be obsolete by tomorrow. There are lots of things that people said that they were like 100%, it's never going to change, it's exactly like that, and 1 or 2 years later they're completely the other way around, and the market is going all over the place and people are scared. So don't think too much about each individual detail and try to grasp the basic understanding of how things work rather than each little detail. The other thing I wanted to say was I'm going to talk very generically about things. So a user is a user. Depending on what you're going to sell them, it's going to be very different. I understand that there are sensitivities that might be looking at the... Hello, that's great. Product differently because you're not selling washing machines. You're talking about human lives and human rights. But in the end, what you want is an audience, and you want people that you can reach and that you can convey a message to. So as soon as I can find a plug, we'll be able to move forward. I hope that there is an electric plug somewhere. Can you see an electric plug on the other table? Sorry? On the table, great. Beautiful. So organized. As you can see, I'm very like virtual and digital. I don't. So yes. So please try to understand the basic principles as opposed to focusing on details. So I'm going to start with location, location, location. It works with retail. It works with the internet as well. You have to be where your users are. If you want to reach people, you can make a lot of noise and make them come to you, or you can go to where they are. At the moment, places where people hang out are Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. You have to go to those places and use them as if they were like a shopping center. And you just get a little place, it becomes your place, and there will be traffic there. So it's much, much easier to tap the traffic and bring them to you. I'll take just a very simple example. You have an NGO, you have a website. It's very easy to have a website, but if people don't look for it, they won't find it. It's going to be very difficult to find it. On the other hand, people are already on Facebook. They are already on Twitter. So if you are on Facebook and Twitter and you create a satellite page there, it's much easier to get people to actually come and visit your website. The same principle applies to, for example, photos. You can put photos on your website, and when people come to your website, they will find your photos. But you can also put it on photos communities where people do go to look for photos. And if you're using tags properly, you're making groups properly, I'm going there in a minute, people will find you. And there are lots of NGOs, there are lots of associations, there are lots of groups that people don't know. But they will discover it if they're looking for something, they find it where they are, and then they will surf away and actually go to the home page. There are directories everywhere. Forget Google from time to time and go to like human curated directories where people talk about a specific topic. I don't know, you're talking about human rights in Africa, and you're going to a community where people are talking about Africa in general. There will be a subsection about human rights where you can become active and get people to come and visit your website. And of course, there are blogs, there are forums. It's very easy to get people to talk about you if you go and you talk to them directly. And those people will become your advocates. They will actually preach your message on their audience. The second thing I want to say is, because now we're talking about where, but we have to talk about what. If you're going to publish something, you have to think, would I find it interesting? It's very easy to talk about your message and to forget that people who you're talking to might not know what you're talking about. They might be interested, but not that interested. And if you're going to talk about something very specific, about something that you've been studying and working actively for 20 years, to someone who just discovered it, you might lose them because it's just too much. Sometimes you're going to talk about something that's very, very technical, or something that is, for you, very interesting, but it's not broad enough. So you also have to put yourself into the shoes of the people who are discovering you. Once they are on your website, they will be looking for more information, more technical information, more specific information. But when you're going to be, I don't know, fishing very broadly, you have to be broad enough. The second thing is, would I share it with a friend? Think about something that you want to say to someone that would actually would make them want to go and talk to their friends about. If you hear about something that's really interesting, I guess everybody has done it here. Sometimes you receive an email from someone, or you read something and say, oh, this is so great, I want to tell someone else. Think about that when you are publishing your own information. If you just say, we are such and such, we do such and such, that's fine. But you need to make something interesting so that you're engaging your audience. Your audience becomes involved in your conversation. We're getting there. It's going very much into the social media where people are actually conversing as opposed to going only one way. But there is a reason why this is so popular right now, and we're not moving away from that for the moment. People don't want to just passively read things. They want to actually start getting involved, even if it means that they're reading it from one side and they're repurposing it on the other side. But it does make sense to actually be interesting and be useful, as opposed to just say what you have to say. Otherwise, you're just shouting and you have a very, very low return. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to start conversations. You're going to get a lot of feedback. You're going to get a lot of interesting insight from people, and you will know what people actually want and what they understand, what they don't understand. There are companies who are paying fortunes in focus groups just so that they can have like 5 people in a room and ask them questions. You virtually have millions of people who can come and answer your questions if you ask them. So don't be afraid to ask. And last but not least, give a little, get a little. For example, there are lots of newspapers nowadays who are giving their information for free on the net. Of course, there's a heated debate where, how can they make money, can't they make money, should they share it, should they share only part of it. On the other hand, at the moment, they have people reading their information. And in the end, that's also what they want. They want people to know their brand. They want people to get subscriptions, thank you. They want people to see them as a source of authority. So all that has value. Sometimes the bottom line of actually getting people to give you money for your cause is actually like the second step. And the first step would be first to make sure you get their attention. Make sure that you get them interested enough that they will go and get their friends. And they will, for example, on their website, ask for donations for your cause, which happens, and it's actually fairly easy. So you have to help them. So how do you help them? You help them because there are lots of little tools everywhere, which are really easy to implement. You have a website, and people will come on your website, but they get solicited by thousands and millions of websites. There are websites where you have kittens falling, and it's really funny, and it's really difficult to compete with that. So you have to, when people are coming to your website, you have to make them very involved very quickly. And for that, you can ask them to subscribe to your news so that they don't have to come back. Whenever you will publish something, they will come back because they will be notified. You can ask them to become a fan on Facebook, for example, which means that they won't come back to you, but they will hear your news all the time. It's very new, this way of thinking as far as the web is concerned, but it's not new at all. It's the same thing as newsletters. It's the same thing as subscriptions to magazines. The idea is that you can't necessarily count on people coming back to you. You have to make them get so involved that they authorize you to get back to them. And there are little tools also for making sure that those people will tell their friends, or those people will, if they find something, they will share it with their network. You can also use those tools too for yourself. A lot of people will have, for example, a Facebook page or a homepage for their organization, but they will also have a private page. If you find something that is interesting, you will share it. So if you publish something for your organization and you find it interesting, you can share it to your friends as well. So, I don't know, I guess I lost you already. But if you are an organization and you find as the organization something interesting, share it as well. You don't have to talk only about yourself. You can also talk about things that are relevant to you and to what you're doing. And people will actually appreciate that because they don't want you to talk about yourself all the time. They also want you to bring them some very interesting information. Which leads us to quality versus quantity. There is a fallacy that goes, the more you post things and the more noise you make, and people will find you. It doesn't work because people get used to that. And they get used to clicking the hide button, and they don't want to hear anymore because it's too noisy. So you need to make sure about getting a right balance of being talkative but not being noisy. Making sure that whenever you share something, it's actually something that's relevant. It's not just something so that people remember your name. Sometimes it's actually worth having something that is not too frequent, but actually when you do it, you do something that is so good that it becomes a reference. And people will link it. People will think, oh, this is so perfect. It sums up everything I wanted to know. It's such a good thing. I'll bookmark this one, not all the small ones that were before and that everybody is talking about, and it's so noisy I can't even find it anymore. Something that's very, very popular is top 10s. You have something, people love top 10s. You have top 10 reason for this, this, this. It's good because you have something that is easily digested, a little bit anecdotal, and it's got all the information you want. Something like that, you don't have to post every day. You don't have to start publishing content all the time because you're not a news agency. But something like that, when it's relevant, is actually very good because it can stand forever. It's something, not forever, but it's something that you can keep on your website, on your network for a very long time, and that stays as a reference. Little thing on the side, don't forget offline as well. Every time that you're going to publish something online, if people are not online in the same place where you are, but they do get your pamphlet, they do get your printed newsletters, they do get your Christmas cards, they do get your printed journal. Don't forget to actually tell them where you are online because they might not know it, they might not make the effort to find it. And you need to educate your users to actually find you. The graphics versus content one is interesting because If you go to the Geneva Summit page and you look at all the sponsors and all the participating NGOs, some of them are really, really pretty. Some of them look like a news agency website, very dry, lots of text. And some of them are actually making a lot of effort in making something very cute, but has absolutely no content at all. The problem with that is that a lot of people nowadays will be accessing your content from different sources. It's not the web anymore. It's going to be syndication, it's going to be people re-forwarding content by email, it's going to be subscriptions, it's going to be iPhone, it's going to be whatever. So don't focus too much on making something pretty, because people are not there for pretty, they're there because they want to actually find something interesting and useful. The second thing is that robots don't care for pretty. So when people will be looking for some kind of information on Google, and they won't find you because you spend too much time doing something very nice with lots of photos but actually no comment and no content, you're losing, because those people are actually looking for something but they can't find you. And you're not just an image, you're not just a logo, you're actually the whole message that you're conveying. So it's actually a misconception to think that your website needs to compete with very pretty websites, when in fact what you need to compete with is other content websites. You're going to sell content. You need to make something that looks good, but you don't need to waste time making something that looks too good. One easy misconception is, oh, I'll put some flash everywhere. It's going to be nice, you arrive, moves like this. Who cares? Nobody cares for something like that. It does care if you're doing like video games, but it doesn't care if you're doing something that actually has content that matters. Feel free to interrupt me and tell me that everything I say is rubbish, by the way.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes, please.
It's not rubbish at all. But I don't know where you are. Are you in Facebook? Are you in blog? Where are you?
You mean now with this?
You are talking about what?
I'm talking about everything. That's the whole point. You have to think about the web as in not a collection of individual websites anymore. Your website is your shop that is outside of the city, your IKEA. And you have a very nice shop, and it's exactly the way you want, because you have all the space in the world. You can make something really good, you have a good parking space. On the other hand, either you have to make a lot of advertisement everywhere, or you have to build a brand for 20 years so that people actually make the effort to come, or you're going to, let's say, Rue du Rhône, like big main street, and you have a small shop there. So that people who are already there, they see your logo, they see what you're doing. Maybe they go there, they pick up the catalog where it says you can order online, for example. But you have one big place, which is your website, and you have lots of small places, which is where people are. So it is Facebook, it is Twitter, it is everything else. If there is a forum that talks about what your organization is all about, go and participate in that forum. Because the people who are there, they're already interested in that conversation. So it's actually worth making the effort to get 100% of a small community than like 1 per 1,000 of the interwebs.
Are you going to tell us about the human rights mafia?
I'm not going to tell you about the human rights mafia.
I want to get into the human rights mafia. I want to get my message to the human rights mafia.
I will love you to explain to me that later, and I'll try to find out what I can about it. We're going to talk about a few tools now. You don't necessarily have to go into all of them. Sometimes it's irrelevant. But in general, there are things that go back to what I was saying, go where people are. And a lot of things, I was looking at the different participants of that summit, and a lot of people are talking about regions and places. Of course, there is something very serious happening there. On the other hand, they're talking about Burma, Sudan, whatever, which a lot of people like me who are interested, who want to know more, have no idea about. We don't know well, we know where it is, but more or less. But we don't know what's happening. We don't know anything. So where do we go? We go to Wikipedia to know more about that. And it's a shame because the people who are involved there, who are there, actually have much more information than the Wikipedia people. They can have first-hand photos. They can have first-hand videos. They can have first-hand everything. They can have a webcam there. They can have 100 webcams there. They can have not personals, but classifieds with people there. They can have so many more interesting information than Wikipedia, which is very dry and might not be necessarily 100% true, might be like only part of the truth. So if you have people in some place who can go out and take videos, make videos and share the videos, because you never know how people will find you, and people who will find those videos might actually think, okay, who made those videos? Those people. It's actually very interesting. I didn't even know that there was a war there. So the idea of gathering people, gathering traffic, starts from everywhere, and sometimes it starts from entertainment. Sometimes it starts from information. It doesn't necessarily start from actually telling them the message that you want to tell them. There are millions of examples. I don't have any just right now, but the idea of, for example, all the big websites, Microsoft, Yahoo, Google, they're all giving you free email and really good tools. I mean, it's very big value. It's a great tool. It works really fine. It's extremely reliable, and it's all free. Why? Because you're getting people by giving them something that's useful for them. Once they're there, you can always tell them something else. You can always tell them, you know, this is what we do, but we also do that. You don't have to trick them, because if you trick them, they're gonna go away. But if you tell them that you have really good video, I'm getting there in a second, and you show them really interesting video, those people not only will find you, but they will also start spreading those videos and make other people find you, and that's really, really useful for you. Please.
Yeah, I just want to differentiate for one moment about the three email systems.
Yes.
Particularly for human rights groups. You should know that Gmail under Google, and I admit that I work for Google, is secure in a way that the other two email systems are not. You will notice in Gmail it says HTTPS. It's encrypted. Hotmail and the other mail are not encrypted in the same way. So if you are dealing in any way with sensitive issues, it's a better idea to look carefully at Gmail.
Thank you. Please.
I wanted to go back to your point about people using unofficial websites, like other people's websites, to see about a conflict or something, and that could be very dangerous because if people are not objective, and especially if someone's just innocently looking around and searching for information and they stumble upon a blog that's, you know, very one-sided or very subjective, they don't know the difference, and it's very dangerous.
Well, I agree with that, and I was about to talk about Wikipedia a little bit later. A lot of people are still taking face value whatever they read. But it's also a good reason for you as the owner of your own information to make sure that what people are saying is actually true. Or at least that they're not spreading lies. Of course, it's very difficult, but the idea is there will always be people saying rubbish. There will always be people doing libel, and the more, the smaller the website, the easier, and the more anonymous the website, the easier it is to just say whatever and to make sure that you spread false information. But that's part of the whole work of controlling your information, or at least knowing what people are saying so that you can reply to it. Just 1 second. The idea is a lot of people are blocking comments on forums or on their own website. My question to you, and you don't have to answer it, is would you rather have 100 people going to 100 other websites spreading their false rumors and libels, or would you like them to actually confront you on your own website where you don't censor them but you can actually reply to them? It's a choice, and a lot of people nowadays are still thinking that it's worth letting people talk because they're doing their talk. I don't think it's actually the right way to go because there will always be a lot of bad noise surrounding you, and the more control you have over that, the more actually you embrace it. Maybe you don't control it, but maybe you just know what's happening and you follow it and you answer it, the better it is. And also, it's easier to badmouth someone. It's easier to have 100 websites saying that what you do is terrible and that you're liars. Your work by actually giving good information and making sure that you have a good community is that eventually you will have 100 people who will act on your behalf, not for you, but on your behalf, who will act because they have a conversation with you and they will go to answer those people. They will go and make a website that actually says that what you do is good. But it takes more effort and more work and more convincing to have people actually say something good than something bad, obviously. Yes, please.
I have a question. It's more of a technical question, but it connects to the other comments. How can I, in a way, manipulate the search engines so my cause will appear higher, for example? It's
you give that guy a lot of money, lots of money. Well, it goes to the whole presentation. Basically, the answer is everything I'm saying right now. Make good content, make a lot of good content. People will link to you, people will know you, people will bookmark you, people will share your information all over the place, and Google will know it, Bing will know it, Yahoo will know it, all of them will know it. I'll give you one very, very simple example. A couple of years ago, how many people were going to the internet and typing YouTube? Nobody. How many people were searching for YouTube? Nobody. And now, how many people don't know youtube.com? Virtually nobody. So the name itself is nothing. But the idea that you're building your name and you're making sure that your name is associated with authority, something that's useful, something that's interesting, something that's good, something that's actually bringing the conversation and the content forward, search engine will pick it up.
Can I give you an example?
Yes.
For example, if you Google Jew or Jewish, I'm Venezuelan and I'm Jewish, and that's my main interest. If you Google Jewish, then you get your first
Result?
results will be neo-Nazi sites. How can we control that? How can I test them? I know it's a very technical question, but
It's interesting. Which
I never did it, but I saw it on an interview with.
Do it on YouTube. Let me see. Type Jew on YouTube.
Yes, I saw an interview with the Google guys and the film graduation. They said so.
Okay, so this is JewOnYouTube.com.
I think it also depends on the country.
Well, it depends where you are. It depends everything. The thing with Borat, for example, is that he made a movie. It was a huge success, so it will work. There might be, for example, because also it evolves all the time. There might be that at some stage, the head of the Hitler's new whatever organization was arrested. Obviously, people are looking for that. Obviously, the search engine knows that's what people are looking for. You come back 1 month later, it's something completely different. That could be that. I'm not going to talk on behalf of Google, but if you're doing this, there are no ads. I'm not sure if it's there are some places where ads are not accepted because it's too controversial, whatever, like certain brands, for example. I guess you can ask him and he will tell you. But if you're looking for like poodles, nope. Yes. Here you have an ad. If you want to make sure that people will find you, you can always buy ads, and it will make sure that you're there. It doesn't answer your question, but it is also a way to make sure people find you. Depending on what your keyword is, it's super affordable. It's much more affordable than paying someone who is a search engine optimizer, who will play with your website, get you banned, and get all your money.
Can I just say that you also have an option as a nonprofit not to finance. We have a program called Google Grants. I advise you to look at it, google.com/nonprofits. For people who qualify under the proper nonprofit laws, both in the U.S. and outside the U.S. in 27 different countries, we will give them grants of ask. So I advise you to look at that, because that makes it a lot easier. It doesn't cost you anything.
Please.
Google Grants is great, but we tried to sign up for it 2 years ago and we never got an answer. That's the frustrating thing about it. This is kind of, you have no idea if you're on the waiting list somewhere or someone's going to answer in 2 years or 3
Me
years.
too.
Yeah, so that's
I have the
problem.
same frustration that you do.
Okay, thanks.
I'll give you my card and you can send me your application.
Big words for me.
This is all
Yes.
done, I should say, it's all done by volunteers. We have a 9-month delay in processing the applications. So don't feel like you've been singled out
Okay.
for poor treatment.
Yes,
Everybody
please.
gets to send bad out.
Just a suggestion on your question. I think we should just understand the Google algorithm for search. I mean, not on a completely technical basis because that's very complicated, but just as a normal user, some of the simple search criteria. And for instance, the last issue of Wired magazine talks about that. So once we understand the algorithm, then you can find ways to move your sites higher up in the search list. And I think one of the most famous instances happened in the United States, where liberal groups wanted to attack George Bush, and they all had the word loser and Bush on their site. So people who Googled loser, George Bush was the first search item. So I have a feeling maybe these neo-Nazi groups did something like that with the word Jew to move their site up. So the only way to counter that is you would have to find sites that you think are more accurate and move them up in search rankings. And again, I'm not a technical person, but I think there's some simple algorithm things that a non-technical person can learn.
Which goes back to get a lot of people to follow what you're doing and to actually get involved in your cause online. Get people on Facebook. Once you have, I don't know, 10,000 fans, it's much easier to tell them not go and try to trick Google, but go and tell everybody that we're having a conference. Go and tell everybody that we're publishing those videos, blah, blah, blah. All those people, they have their own networks. They have their own friends. Sometimes they have a blog. Sometimes they have a community. Sometimes they have like a forum. The more people you reach, the more people you can reach from those people. If it was just for like a very, very, very small group and they go Bush equals loser, it wouldn't work. It's because they have so many people who are actually participating in that thing that it could work. The same thing we just saw earlier, we're looking for something very, very, very often for like single words. Wikipedia comes among the top 3. It's not just magic. It's because anytime you're going to write something about something and you want to explain to your users, to your readers, what it is. Let's say you're talking about microphones and you want to talk about that little piece here. But you don't want to explain everything, so you're going to just make a link to some relevant information website. Usually you're going to use Wikipedia. It's got lots of information, it's useful. If one person does it, two people do it, 1,000 people do it, the Google bot will just look at it and it will say, okay, this seems to be like the most relevant information. Everybody's looking for it for that word. So it does make sense that when people look for that word, we're going to give it up. I mean, we're going to push it up. So Wikipedia went from a very small, volunteer-only, very few web pages, and actually it wasn't even volunteer. People were paid originally to start writing like the very first content, to some kind of authority figure where you're looking for any words, Wikipedia comes up. What you can do, not at the same level, but at the level of your keywords, is that when people are looking for your keywords, you spend the time to explain it. You spend the time to define it. You spend the time to give examples, to give resources, to write, let's say, every Monday, little essay about that particular thing so that every week you address a particular problem. For example, I'm very naive. I always thought that in Darfur and in Sudan there was a genocide. And then suddenly I'm here and people are questioning that. And there are like little papers explaining that people on some radio show were coming and they were saying, no, there is no genocide. How come you're saying that there's a genocide? I don't know. I've never been to Darfur. I don't necessarily plan to go to Darfur right now. But for me, it's really interesting. Now I want to know more. I want to know why there would be some people who would say that there is a genocide when there isn't, and or why there would be people saying that there is no genocide when actually everybody knows there is one. Where do I go? I don't know. First thing is I'm going to go to Google because everybody goes to Google. Second thing, in parallel, I will go to Wikipedia because I'm sure some people will be fighting and arguing about that somewhere there. But if you are a Darfur NGO, I should find you. I should actually go and find you. And you should be so good that people who are looking for something like that will start spreading the news and linking to you. Eventually, you're looking for Darfur, and Wikipedia comes second or third because you come first, because you are actually so focused on that particular information that when people want to link to something, some kind of information source, they will link to you and not to Wikipedia. Does that answer your, okay.
I think the quality of the content, as you were saying before, is really essential, and after some years of building websites, my experience of the ones that rise to the top in the search engines are the ones that have really good keywords, not only in the body of the text, or you've said something that you maybe said it 3 times in different ways, but throughout your text, but you also you make sure that the tag that shows up, the header tag, has a title for your article that is, and it's still amazing how many times on the internet you see there is no actual title for
yes.
And that is key to getting yourself out there, and then using all of this myriad of new tools, because I don't know the precise Google algorithm, but there are a number of factors, relevance, the keywords, the number of people linking to you, the amount of traffic coming through, but getting other people to link to you, you can use these new media terms to make that, these new media tools to make that happen, by twittering about your site and providing links to it, or blogging about something to just keep the traffic going through, which encourages other people to link to you and
yes.
raises you in the
what you mentioned is very, very basic, but very, very key. If your website's homepage says index as opposed to the name of your organization, for example, fire your trainee webmaster, get someone who knows a little bit more, and at least put some, that's very common sense. But if you're writing an article, try to get a title that's a little bit catchy. If you're gonna make pages, make sure that each page has a proper title, proper header, so at least when your users are coming, they can find it. But also, of course, when people are linking to it, it's easier to have the proper title. When the search engine robots are looking for you, they can also at least identify what your title is. If you're going to talk about something, make sure that you just basic, I don't know, essay 101 type of thing. Start to put the information first.
And another thing that would help you to do that, I don't know how many people still have static HTML pages versus dynamic, but using dynamic used to be much more complicated to do. You had to know PHP code or Perl or something. Now with programs, with platforms like Drupal or WordPress, you can very easily put together a dynamic web page and take advantage of all of the RSS.
I'll cut you because I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Anyway, we have to move forward. I don't know. Everybody has to go somewhere after that. I don't know when we're supposed to finish, so I'll move forward. Don't worry. Anyway, video just like any other information, you got video, share it. You have possibilities to make videos, make some. It's very catchy. It's very interesting. Let people embed it and make sure that they are talking about what you're doing. Same thing with Flickr, with photos. You have photos, make an account on Flickr, upgrade it to Pro so that you have more statistics. You know what people like, don't like, where they come from. You have unlimited whatever. It's extremely cheap. And just put a lot of photos. Make sure people can share those photos. Next time someone is writing an article about something, they will ask permission, but they will find you because they're looking for Darfur. You have photos about Darfur, first-hand photos, completely original. They will contact you, and it will be actually a way for people to find you. There are already groups. If you have groups about people who are talking about safaris, maybe they're interested to know what's happening around those places. Maybe there are conversations, not with photos, just conversations that you can start there. There are lots of communities where people are interested in more than what is just being discussed. And you can go put a foot. If you're welcome, you're welcome. If you're not welcome, you move on. But if you are welcome and you don't go, you will never know. And share more than just what you're trying to sell. Because at the end of the day, you will be able to spread your word and to have your message shared. But if you just go and ask for people, let's say, like in the street, please give us money, the ratio of people who will be interested is much lower. If you get their attention online, in the street, it will always work better because you actually have their attention as humans and they see you as a human, not just as a piggy bank. We're going to RSS. RSS is real simple syndication. RSS, for those of you who are not familiar, who uses knows as a consumer? Yeah, okay, a little bit less than half. RSS is a way for people who are publishing content to allow the readers of the content to not have to come to the website to read it. So you can use a variety of media, some online, some software, some on your iPhone, whatever, to get the content. Whenever it's published, it will come to you and you will be able to read it. You don't have to go to the website and click refresh every day just to see if something new is there. So as a publisher, as someone who has something to say, you can use that. As I said, it will allow people to find you and not forget you, as opposed to find you, moving on, and forget you the next day. If you're using FeedBurner, and I'll have to make a disclaimer now. Give me a second, because there is someone from Google in the room, so I just want to make a little disclaimer. I'll talk about Google a lot in the next few slides. For some reason, they're very clever and they're offering a lot of services that are very good. The cons about that is that censorship does happen, and that it's a public, public company, but it's not completely open. It's a company. They want to make money, and you can't blame them for that. If tomorrow they decide to cut a service, you don't have that service anymore. If tomorrow they decide to censor it in China, for example, well, you don't have access to it. On the other hand, the pro is that it's the most reliable service, and it's undeniable, and we can argue for hours about it, but it is just, you know, Google. So you can always change later, but if there are services who are really, really good, use them. And if those services become not good anymore, it's the market. Move to another one. There will be another one. There will be an outsider. But at the moment, and I'm going back there, something like FeedBurner, it's very good for your RSS. If you're a publisher and you want people to use your RSS, you want to get statistics, you want to be able to tell them that they can subscribe by email, which is another way to use the RSS. Every time you publish something, they get an email. It's very convenient, it's great. People can get emails even where they don't necessarily have access to the web. FeedBurner is a really good service for that. The other thing is, today you're using something, tomorrow you're using something else. The fact that you're using a third party for your RSS and people subscribe to that third party, that RSS address will follow you. You can change services. You're publishing with one tool. Tomorrow you want to publish with another tool, but you're still using the same RSS. Your users will not lose you. So in general, it's good to use tools that are actually good and that are at least scalable and that can evolve with you. I'll go back to the Drupal thing in a second, but bear with me for a second. Another thing that you might want to be interested in is how to get people to donate. Again, if you're telling them to take their credit card and enter the credit card on your website, people will say, okay, that's a fishy site. I don't know, it's not secure, so you're going to have to pay for a license for a secure encryption thing. Don't go there. Use a website. You'll pay a commission, but what's going to happen is that everybody has a PayPal account. When I say everybody, it means everybody in the US who has a eBay account, which is a lot of people. PayPal account means that people already have a PayPal account. So it's much easier to tell them, just click a button. So again, the same thing applies to what I was saying earlier with Facebook. Go where people are. Everybody has a credit card, but it's a big effort. But if you tell people, okay, you can pay by PayPal, you'll see that your donations will increase because people see it as a convenience. It's like when you accept credit card in a shop, as opposed to just accepting cash, for example. It's like allowing people to call you with a toll-free number because they know it's free, it's easier, and you get more feedback from them. Yes, please.
I usually find US sites who I want to donate to them, but the moment I want to donate to them, it comes, they want a state, they want the US code,
Yep.
area code, etc. So I can never get, for example, Amnesty International, I'm in touch with Amnesty International. And every time they come for something, they ask for donation, I just go to donate. And because their site only accepts an address which has got a US code, I can't donate.
Tell
And
them to put a PayPal button on it.
Once I use a fake code, that is my credit union, UN Credit Union in New York. But still it didn't take it. Because they checked and they found out that my credit card is not the same. So what do you do about that?
You send them an email and you tell them.
I did. The email never got there.
Dear Mr. Amnesty
I
International.
did. They never got it. It kept on coming back and saying that your thing is undelivered.
It does happen a lot. It's improper database validation that
Yes.
blocks you out as a. But
That's right. You see,
but
everything is
PayPal
based
the
on people
solution to
living in
this.
the United States.
But the PayPal is a solution. There is still, however, a problem because I've just been working with friends who have a nonprofit here in Switzerland. You always run into this a little bit of this thing of what's in the States and people not understanding how things work outside the States because it's quite difficult to go through the procedure to register yourself as a PayPal nonprofit when they're not used to seeing what certifies you as a nonprofit outside the States. That said, it's really worth doing because being able to click on that button and you will be able to donate if you get that button on, if you click on PayPal because it's very easy to use from anywhere in the world. But it is a little hard to get through that blockade of just thinking.
I'll see you tomorrow. Okay.
So PayPal does a lot of things. I mean, that's their core business. They want people to be able to send money easily. So they get their commission, of course, in the middle. And in the end, you get more donations, you get more people involved. So it's a fair price, I think, to pay. There is another Google thing here. Google Checkout is not a competitor for PayPal per se, but it does allow people to pay to you as well. And if you register a nonprofit YouTube channel, I think it comes automatically. If not, at least you can request it very easily. And then you are allowed to get people to pay to you with credit card and whatever directly through Google Checkout. One thing to not neglect or minimize is that if someone will give you money, even if it's very, very small, convenience is one thing and security, reliability is another thing. If I'm going to use my credit card on a website and I'm not sure 100% who those people are on the other side, I might be paranoid enough that I say it's not worth it. On the other hand, if I know it's PayPal and I already have an account with them and I bought so many things and I know how they work, or if it's Google, well, Google, you know, how are they going to harm me? I will make that little donation much more easily, and you have to not neglect that, because you don't know the person on the other side in what state of mind he will be when he sees that your website is asking for money. Another tool is Wikipedia. As I was saying earlier, Wikipedia is a great resource. On the other hand, everybody come and edit it. And people can edit it with bad information or false information. So you need to check it. If you have a page, check it. If you have a page and it doesn't have all the information that you would like it to be on, you can edit it. You can ask someone to edit it. You can go to the conversation, even if you don't know how to use Wikipedia properly. You can say, hello, there is this information. You make a link to some press release or something, and people will edit it, because the whole idea is that you want it to be as rich and as relevant as possible. On the other hand, be careful that there will be people who will come and start bad-mouthing you on your own webpage, on your own page, because Wikipedia is so open and so free. So ideally, you need to spend some time actually checking it right now, because you might have already people spreading bad rumors about you on your own page that people are finding, as opposed to your own website. Because Wikipedia, being a third party, it's seen as being more honest and more balanced as your website. Of course, on your website, you're only going to good thing about yourself, but not the bad thing. Therefore, everything that's bad about you on Wikipedia must be true. So you need to be careful about that, and you need to turn it into actually being a tool for you, not a tool against you. Looking at traffic stats, again, Google, but not only. Look at trends, forget numbers. Use good tools and actually follow what's happening. If it increases, it increases. If it increases 500%, it's 500%. Forget numbers. It's not about numbers. What you need to look at is how your message is getting across. And the more people are coming, usually, the more your message is going across. On websites, you can use Google Analytics, which is very good. On Facebook, there is Google Insights. If you make a fan, like a page where people can become fans, you can get statistics there as well. On Flickr, if you become an account, you can have traffic stats as well. It's very important that you know where people go, where people come from, how many people, etc. Because otherwise you're shooting in the dark. You don't know what's happening. So it's very important that you get feedback. Sometimes feedback comes in conversation, sometimes feedback traffic stats. Another tool is translations. There are lots of websites that are all in English. And if you don't have staff who speaks languages, well, you don't have any other language on your website. Fortunately, there are automatic translations tools. Use them. Make sure that if someone comes to your website and speaks only a little bit of English, or let's say even worse, maybe your website is not in English because you're in Geneva, you make everything in French and German. There is no English because nobody speaks English well enough. Use those tools. It's amazing how many websites nowadays are still in one language, and some it's not even English, which is like the lingua franca of the net. That we saw. Get your own domain. Yes.
Are you satisfied with the quality of the translation of Google or
Are you satisfied with a website all in Farsi that you can't even read sounds?
No, because I'm not. I've done that. I've done English to French, French to English, Persian to
It's never perfect. It's never perfect.
sometimes it's awful.
Well, if it's completely awful, it will still be better than absolutely nothing.
I mean, you should.
And it's evolving very, very much.
I would ask you to compare it to other services, number one, and two, very importantly, it's a really interesting area that we've been working on. We do it in 40 languages now. I would recommend that you try the instant messaging, where you can write in one language and it comes out in another on the other end. I don't know if anybody has tried that. It's really quite effective. And we are trying to teach the computer more about Farsi. It's a particularly different language.
Persian, not Farsi.
Sorry.
Persian.
Sorry. And also about Chinese. Because they're both difficult languages. The way that it works is it goes into English first and then it comes out of the other language.
Well, to be perfectly honest, the language that I think I've seen the most terrible translations was Japanese, because grammar is so all over the place that robots just can't comprehend it. But on the other hand, the idea is to at least offer that, and you can put a disclaimer. You can tell people this is automatic translation. You can always make sure that people understand that you're doing your best, but it's still better to offer them something than nothing. That's my point.
May I
Yes, of course.
Excuse me, I'm talking too much.
No, it's fine.
Give it to my age, please. I want to make an appeal. Because of all the sanctions that's been going on against Iran, a lot of, except Google by the way, a lot of sites, in fact, completely ignore Persian. And in fact, Iran is not in most of the pull down links or whatever it is, menu. So I just want to inform you that this problem exists because of the and recently, since the Green Movement has started, all the website, all the providers are improving that. But there is a big problem because in the last 20 years or 30 years, there has been an effort to totally isolate Iran and isolate Persian. And that's for your information. Thank you.
Which is something that you should talk about online so that more people can know about it, as opposed to just this room.
Like this.
Well, in 1 week, you'll have a sentence or two. Get your own domain. This cannot be emphasized enough. Today you're using Facebook. Facebook is a company. Tomorrow they're going down, or they're not happy anymore, or they ban you for some reason because they say, oh, you know, we don't want to get into trouble. Get your own domain. Get your own website. Make sure that your website becomes the hub of all the other things that you're doing.
Can you apply a domain or is it just a
Exactly. That's where they make money. They're saying if you want to use your own domain, you pay us. I think it's $10 US a year. Sorry, $10 US a year. It's here, memorable address, and compatible with new online services. You can have your own domain, and it's pointing to some service. Tomorrow you decide to move to another service. You keep your domain, and people will find something else somewhere else. There are lots of those, and every day there is a new one, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not good. Go with something that's good. Google has Blogger, WordPress is WordPress, Tumblr is very simple and very easy to start. Everything's possible. Look for whatever you like. It's 2 seconds to make an account. Find something that is easy for whoever is going to be in charge of managing it, and start it. But don't get into the hassle of becoming too technical, because next time you have to do something technical, it's going to be like taking over the time that you should be doing something good with. The good point about hosted websites, hosted services, is also that they act as a community. For example, you are on WordPress.com or Tumblr or something. If you make a post on something, people who are on that platform will find it through that platform. So it becomes a hub of all the websites that they host. If tomorrow you decide to go with your own website, with your own script on your own server, people can only find you through search engine, for example. So again, it's a question of choice. It depends how much resources you have to allocate for that. More control, more hassle. And that's it. I'm putting that presentation online if you want to get the address. And pretty much everything I'm talking about has links. So I put the links on that presentation. They're here. So the last slide is all links, and they're all going to be clickable. And feel free to contact me by email, and if not, on zlag.net without the Geneva Summit. And yes, please. And by the way, that presentation on that thing is actually a Google thing, so yes, more Google. Yes, please.
wanted to make three other points that I think add to your presentation. The first is the importance of time limits. You were very good about the importance of limitations about how much you send out. If you're doing a YouTube video, for example, 2 minutes is the max. I know you are tempted to put on 15 minutes with all the important points that really appeal to you, but nobody watches. We've done tests of this, so just be aware of that when you're putting together your sites or you're uploading to YouTube. Just so you know, there's 20 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every minute. So you're in something of a competition against other people. The second thing I would say is that anything you do should be adaptable for mobile, particularly in the developing world. 400 million phones in China, 600 million 2 years from now. Most people are going to access the internet via mobile device rather than through a laptop or a netbook.
Is it going to be too expensive for them? Is it going to be too expensive for them?
Well, some have bypassed landlines, some it's too expensive for, some the machines are just easier to use. But trust me when I say that anything you do should be adaptable to mobile, especially in the field of human rights. Because you're going to want to appeal to people throughout the world, not just in developed societies.
Very good example is Twitter in Iran.
The third thing I would say is you should look at mapping and the use of mapping tools as a way to show people about certain issues or certain places. Where they put the internally displaced people. It's a representation of a conflict that is much more appealing to people than a simple set of numbers or text. So I really do recommend that you look at how different people are using mapping techniques. And it doesn't take a lot of expertise. I don't have it, but I've been told it doesn't take a lot of expertise to add a map layer to Google and to other mapping services.
Well, thank you to Google for denouncing Ahmadinejad demonstration on the 11th of February. It was a sham, and your buses, you Google Maps showed kilometers and kilometers of buses that brought people into demonstrating in defending Ahmadinejad. It's all phony. Thank you, Google.
Well, without going into that, that I was mentioning earlier is precisely to separate the content from the container. Your website is the container. Your website could be also Twitter. Twitter has RSS syndication. Facebook, your wall has RSS syndication. The whole idea by using RSS is that tomorrow someone can reuse it for something else. For example, someone who is using it on their phone. If it's not on their phone, it might be, I don't know. Recently there was a new iPhone application which actually has automatic voice reading of any text. You put your RSS feed on one side and it reads it to you like an audiobook. You can only do that if you separate the container from the content, if the text is only text. So that's where it becomes very important that you're using tools that allow you to have RSS and to make sure that your website are not completely static with the container and the content blended together, because then people can't extract the content. Yes?
I just wanted to offer another option to people, because there's a lot of different people in different ages, and maybe I want to just tell you about something, maybe not all of you know the concept. I currently live in Vienna, and I started to be involved with this young organization, and they formed something that the name of it is Hub, or Hub Vienna. You can find it in most of the big cities, in central cities in Europe. There's one in Milan, there's one as well in South America, in Sao Paulo. And it's actually just, it's a space, it's a big space, but the concept is to bring young individual or young idealist people that they're all busy or concerned about social responsibility, or what we call a social entrepreneur. So if you are looking for young people to support your cause, because I think it's very important, it's another, the way I see it, it's taking the network or taking the internet and making it to very practical. It's like a living internet in a way. And you can find, they have a lot of events and a lot of young people that you can communicate with and can support your cause. They have a lot of, meetings of sharing of ideas, for example, and just a lot of networking, and yeah. So just if you're looking for something, it's not in every city in Europe, but in the main ones, you can find it. It's hubbed, and I think it can be very useful for any NGO.
How you get into it? What is the
It's an open
URL? What?
Just do Google Hub, and I don't know where you placed right now.
Hub Geneva. I said Hub Geneva.
And you can check if there's Hub in Geneva. I'm not sure about it. And if you do Hub Vienna, then you get to the Hub in Vienna, and it's very easy. I mean,
is there a Hub London?
I'm pretty sure there is, but you need to check me.
Because I'm English or French. I
think it will be very, I know that you're trying to push your cause, and you can find people that will not only listen to you, but will actually do actions. It's, young individuals that really want to do something in the matters of social responsibility. And so I just, if you're interested, just check it. I think it's new and it's very useful.
I want to add another topic, but I'm just wondering about the other side of the coin. What you've talked about makes it a lot more easy for secret police to track dissident groups, the mobile phones to track individuals, cloud computing you don't even need to get the physical computer anymore. Do you have any tips on how to protect some of these communications that you were talking about? Let's be free and open and talk about the cases. It makes you very vulnerable in some situations.
There was a very interesting presentation. I think it's 2 hours long. You can find it very easily, called "Privacy is Dead, Get Over It." Unfortunately, it's getting more and more difficult. You can use, for example, in China, a lot of young people, especially when websites like Wikipedia were blocked, they're using VPN networks. They're using proxies that are in the US, so they're actually connecting to websites as if they were in the US as opposed to being in China. On the other hand, well, privacy in general is a completely different issue, and whatever you're publishing online can come and bite you in the ass very quickly, sooner or later, at least. On the other hand, as I said before, it's better that you control your information rather than giving it to someone else. People who want to censor you and to keep you silent, they will write things that will be detrimental to your cause. If you want to make sure that people hear it, I would say that the more vocal you are, the more difficult it is to actually silence you. On the other hand, yes, it does expose you, but I suppose that except for encrypted email, which is from one person to one person or one person to a group of people, but it's really like underground. As soon as you're trying to be broadcasting whatever, broadcast as in you're communicating with people that you don't necessarily know by name, there will be people who can track you down. The idea with the internet is that you can be anonymous, but you can't be anonymous where it really matters.
Pessimist.
Yes, please.
Yeah, use the mic. I can just briefly comment on the last part. Of course, you can control your content, and you can also, of course, use email programs like Hushmail, which is encrypted. Skype is also still encrypted. And there are several other tools. And of course, Mr. Google mentioned Gmail as well. When that is said, my point is actually a software called Twingly. I don't think you touched upon that, but it's something that is, at least I currently live in Norway, and it's quite useful for Norwegian NGOs to use this function called Twingly, because a lot of the media is now moving from newspapers towards web news. And there they have this function called Twingly where you can link your blog, which is really useful if you're an NGO or if you're just an activist. You can link your blogs to an article published on a news web page. And the only international media I know that has this is BBC, but they don't use it that often. But you can just Google Twingly and you'll find out more about it and see if there's a news media in your country that uses it. Because it's really, when it comes to getting your web page higher up on the search engines, it really helps to have it on those articles. That's at least our experience.
Cool. Thank you very much. Yes.
I talk about humanitarian mafia. I hope I was not misunderstood. I meant, I really mean humanitarian. I meant that mafia, in a positive term, is a group of people who are working for human rights. They are determined. They are together. They are fighting together against an enemy. Okay. How do I get hold of these people? How do I get? Is there something that I can advertise the green movement, my green movement, right?
Well, what you need to do first is get an intern who can type really fast. As opposed to you. Get someone who is a volunteer who will want to have something good in their resume. 1 or 2 or 7 people.
Any volunteers?
And those people, you tell them to make your cause very vocal. And what I said about Google applies to whatever big group of influential anything. If you're doing good stuff and you're doing enough of it and it's good enough, and
so they come to me, I don't go to them.
People will find you.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
If you are doing something really good online, it might take a little bit of time. So sometimes you want to help it by making sure that other influential people find you. Maybe that mafia is here, but there is a guy who is really good at, I don't know, BBC Radio, and you are here. So you go to that guy and you say, hey, I have this blog, and I'm interviewing people, I'm going outside, I'm posting videos. On that Darfur thing, I'm putting a lot of videos because I'm in Darfur, and talk about me. And that guy, he needs to talk about lots of things. So sometimes he's very happy that someone gives him a tip on something interesting.
How do I get to him?
You go to his website, because you know him because he's famous, right? He's there. So you go to his website, and there's a little thing that says contact, and you click on it.
Okay, right.
The same thing with those Amnesty International who don't have PayPal. You go to that contact thing, and you contact them. And if they don't have a contact thing, you go to their Facebook page, and you look for the contact. And if they don't have a Facebook page, you create a Facebook page called "How come Amnesty International doesn't have a contact form nor PayPal button?" And you start inviting everybody. And you will make enough noise that eventually they will come to you.
I'm not noisy now.
Well, that's noisy, but that's useful. That's my point.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh, since Google has been advertising, I suppose I can advertise too, no?
Well, one thing I was thinking about this is that since it's going to be on their website and there will be a presentation, I might just open the comments underneath, and all of you can come and continue the conversation. So instead, actually forget the bottom part where I say contact me by email. Contact me through the website so that everybody can participate in that conversation and actually answer each other. And get someone to type, otherwise your question will be like, sorry? To me? I type with 2 hands, 2 fingers. Ah, you mean in general? Yes. Well, in that case, use that email address.
one thing, you were talking about age. One thing, I was talking about someone from the United Nations Commissioner for Refugees. I don't know. Well, UNHCR. He's retired. So sometimes you want to have a trainee who is very young and who wants to have something good on their resume. Sometimes it's actually worth having people who are at home or working from home, or there is a very good, if you're in Geneva, there is a very good unemployed service, unemployment service, where you can get people to go and come to work for you. Sometimes it's very relevant to have people who actually want to learn something. And I'm not sure about all of you, obviously, but I'm pretty sure some of the work that you're doing is very guerrilla, as in you need to find ways to do it, as opposed to you come at 9 o'clock, you do your stuff, and you leave at 5. Sometimes you need to be resourceful. Sometimes you need to think out of the box. So it is interesting to have someone who has a different perspective and someone who has a lot of free time and who types fast enough, sometimes who has time to spend a lot of time online. I was talking about Wikipedia earlier, but if you really want to start doing something useful and you start making noise, you need to make sure what people will say in reaction to that noise. For example, you're publishing things on Twitter, but you need to follow up if people are asking you questions back. You need to make sure that if people are saying, well, they're saying that, but I think it's rubbish, you answer back to them and you say, why are you saying it's rubbish? It's a fact, blah, blah, blah. Because the idea is once you start the conversation, there will be more conversation. There will be more people talking. And something I didn't mention there, but it will become time consuming. So it does make sense to actually spend the time and allocate the time that you're going to have to spend online to follow up with that conversation. But the positive part of that is that 1 hour that you spend online can reach a much bigger audience than 1 hour that you spend, I don't know, on the phone, for example, one-on-one, or in the street, or writing something to one person by email, for example. And I think everybody wants to go home.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.